Hi. So the date 2nd November 2025. Yeah, that's the date that will never ever be forgotten. It will never be forgotten by any sportsman from India or any sports lover from India. Just like how we can never forget 25th June 1983. That changed the landscape of Indian cricket and world cricket because of Indian cricket subsequently. The same way, mind it, from now on, the whole landscape of women's cricket in India and in the world will change because now finally the giant nation that is India has awakened in the sport of women's cricket, and they are not going to stop. Just like how men's cricket became India's monopoly, India's control from after 1983, same thing is going to happen in women's cricket. India will now join Australia and will establish a monopoly, and who knows, India may surpass Australia in the long run because of the kind of population and the talent and the kind of passion and interest and the intensity that it is going to generate with one ICC trophy already in the bag. Because in 2005, in 2017, in the 2022 Commonwealth Games final, India had come close to that moment where it could have changed the landscape of world cricket and Indian cricket with one trophy. But somehow they reached the final, they were on the verge of winning a trophy and they failed, and the whole thing got delayed or postponed. But it was always known, it was a matter of time that India would establish its hegemony, and maybe 2nd of November 2025 would be remembered as that date when that hegemony was established, when Indian women put the flag on the pinnacle of world cricket, and there would be no comeback, there would be no return from there. It would be India's show for the world and in the world for future. Now there is something special about the number 2 also, because if you remember, on 2nd of April 2011, after such a long gap of nearly 38 years, Indian men won the ICC World Cup in Mumbai, in India, and that created so much joy and celebration, and that brought a newfound confidence in the Indian men's team for the 21st century. The same thing has happened for women's cricket, this time in the new Mumbai, very close to the Mumbai, and this has also happened on 2nd of November, though the watch will tell you it has already reached 3rd of November. But yes, the match was played on the 2nd of November, the big final, and Indian women justifiably, deservingly won the World Cup in a fair and square manner, fully on merit, even after losing the toss. So there would be no doubt ever that whether India did deserve to win this thing. So it would be remembered by every member of this Indian team and all the fans of Indian cricket all around the world. It is just not Harmanpreet's World Cup, it is just not the World Cup of those 11 players, it is just not even the World Cup of Pratika Rawal, who contributed so massively but unfortunately was injured before the semi-final and missed out. She had that much contribution, as much contribution for this World Cup for India as the 11 that played or the players who were in the substitute bench today. It was also just not about the players, it was about Amol Majumdar and the support staff who gave their everything to egg on this team, which was struggling in the beginning and had 3 humiliating losses against the Sena countries, and that it failed to generate any kind of interest or any kind of hope in the fans, and many fans had questioned that whether this team would be even able to reach the semi-final. And Amol Majumdar and his team, along with Harmanpreet, instilled a newfound confidence, gave a confidence to the team that they could still come back and create history, and they did that. So equally the credit goes to Amol Majumdar and his support staff also. And remember, that's not even enough. If today India has become the proud winner of the ICC World Cup in ODI, then the contribution goes back to decades and decades ago. We have to remember that everybody's contribution has finally given us that moment. There are many players who played in those dark ages where there was no money, no support, no scope. Women were not even allowed to get down and play with a sport where boys' hegemony or boys' monopoly was there. So, from those days, it was the likes of Santaranga Swami, Diana Aidulji, Purnima Rao, Subhangi Kulkarni, Neetu David, and subsequently Anjum Chopra, and then that list goes on and on and on. And then we had the likes of Jhulan Goswami, Mithali Raj, who all contributed in their own way, who created history with their own performances. Maybe the team was not good enough that time to win the World Cup, but the kind of benchmark they set, the kind of exemplary standards they set, the way they carried themselves, the way they took charge, the way they took risk, and they had the guts to fight against the society and all the restriction and all the question marks, all the fun and the kind of insinuations from the people that these girls are playing a sport like cricket. What do they think of themselves? Finally, all their contribution, their blood, sweat and tears finally made us win this World Cup, made Harmanpreet and her team win this World Cup. Today they have got the accolades, the trophy, the money, the fame and everything. It is because of those players from the 60s, 70s and 80s and 90s who gave everything without any return, who played the game because of their passion and intensity and their love, who had no expectation other than seeing their country winning a match or a trophy. They might not have reached the finishing line, but today when this new generation of youngsters like Sricharani, who just made her debut last year and would have never dreamt in her life that she would be playing a World Cup final and would be winning a match for India by such a great performance, or a player like Dipti, who had been there for years and years and never would have thought that, or maybe she would have thought that she would retire without ever winning this World Cup, and today she was shining like the brightest star in world cricket. 5 wickets and 50 runs in a World Cup final in a knockout match. Nobody has done, and she has done it. She almost single-handedly made this win possible. So Jemima Rodriguez in the semi-final, a youngster who was there at the airport to receive the team because in 2017, because that team was not expecting any kind of celebration or any kind of welcome because they had lost a final. She would have never thought that day when she had gone as a under 19 player to welcome the Indian team at the airport that one day she would be a World Cup finalist and a winner. And she played a dream knock in the semi-final to make it possible for India to reach the final, and then only India could win. So India would owe it as much to Jemima Rodriguez. So the players like Kranti Gaur, Richa Ghosh, Amonjit Kaur, they all contributed, but they would also remember that it's the blood, sweat and tears of those players who had fought, who had played for India without any expectation, without any return or reward or accolades. They also have contributed. So it's a collective effort, and also the support and prayers of 140 crore Indian fans which also made it possible. So it's a collective wish and prayer that has ensured that today Indian women have become the ICC World Cup champions, and we know for sure this may be the first, but this is not going to be the last. So congratulations Team India, and commiserations to South Africa. What a fabulous fight they gave. A team which was bundled out for 69 against England in their first match, for 97 against Australia, and were looking so down and out. They managed to forget those bad matches, and they came with rigor and with kind of a confidence and self-belief which no other team could have dared to do, coming to India and play with that kind of confidence. And they managed to always counter punch, always fight back after a bad match or after a bad performance, and never allowed a bad performance to weigh them down. And today they reached the final. They fought till the end to the best of their ability, and maybe a few errors here and there if they could have avoided, if they had been able to take Safali's wicket when she had given an easy catch at 56, then they could have been chasing a much smaller total, and who knows, they might have turned the tables. But no shame in reaching the final and reaching the final of a World Cup, and it's the fifth consecutive World Cup final that the South African team, male and women together, have done. No other team could have dared to aspire for that, and if they have done it, kudos to them. They had reached the last two T20 World Cup, this year's ODI World Cup. Their men had reached the last year's T20 World Cup and lost to India the way they lost in the Women's ODI World Cup final today. And also their men reached the WTC final, the most prestigious ICC trophy, and they reached it and they won it against Australia. So 5 consecutive ICC trophy finals they reached. They have already won one, and their women have now knocked on the door of glory by reaching 3 finals, 2 T20 World Cup finals and this ODI World Cup final, which was their maiden. And who can bet against them winning the next big trophy which they would be competing? Who knows, they may be able to win the 2026 T20 World Cup, which will be played in England. And if they do it, I think the world would be applauding, because they deserve to have some glory. So fantastic performance by them. They were just a tad behind the Indian team today, but credit to them, kudos to them. They fought like tigers. And let us not forget to remember one name, that is Laura Ulvard, their captain. What a fabulous player she has been. She has been a real gem of a player who has enthralled the whole world with her batting. A century in the semi-final, a century in the final, and single-handedly almost kept South Africa in the contest right till the fag end of the match. And it was only after her dismissal it became clear that they would not be able to win. So hats off to her. She played a captain's knock throughout the tournament and captained the South African team without some of their any big names, only with Kaap and C. They were the established and superstars, and they managed to set great examples, and they tried to take South Africa to the ultimate glory. They knew the weaknesses they had. They knew that they were vulnerable against spin. They lost 7 wickets to spinners against England, where they got bundled out for 69, where Sophie Ecclestone, Charlie Dean and Lindsay Smith took the 7 wickets. Again they bumped into Australia, and against quality spin of Alana King they bundled out for 97, where Alana King took 7 wickets. And today they again lost wickets, almost 9 wickets they lost to the spinners. So spin has been their Achilles heel, and that's where has been troubling them, and that is the only difference. The 30 overs or more than 30 overs of spin that India had today was going to be decisive, and it turned out to be decisive. South Africa tried their best. It's not that they did some harakiri or they just committed some suicide. They tried to have a proper plan and a great strategy, and which was perfect also in that given circumstances, and they tried to execute it to the best of their ability. It's just that they were not having the kind of ability to counter attack the spinners. They could survive, but they could not counter attack, and a lot of dot balls were created. And when the pressure was created, they had to take a little bit risk, and in the process they got out against the quality spin of Dipti Sharma, Sri Charni, and Safali Verma's 2 wickets were a little cheap. That's where their back was broken. So yes, they were vulnerable against spin, and that's turned out to be the difference between them and the World Cup winning team, and that's where they lost out. But they know where to work on, and if they work on their handling of spin bowling, they would be a world champion team, no doubt about it, because they have some very exciting young talent, and their captain is superb and brilliant. So commiserations to South Africa, congratulations to India. A great day for India, a memorable day for India, and this day will define India's Women's World Cup glory for the future, and also the landscape of Indian women's cricket and world women's cricket for future. No doubt about it. Thank you.